caps for sale. Oh, boys and girls, Professor Sal with another fairy tale. This is a very old Russian fairy tale called Caps for Sale. It's the story of a peddler. That's someone who goes about selling things, walks around, some monkeys and their monkey business. Caps for sale. Once upon a time, there was a peddler who sold caps. But he was not like any ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checkered cap, then a bunch of gray caps, a bunch of brown caps, a bunch of blue caps, and at the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so not to upset his caps, and he would call out, "Caps for sale, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he could not sell any caps. He walked up and down the street, and he walked down the other street calling, "Caps for sale, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of the town slowly so as not to upset the caps. And he walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "Well, that's a nice place for a rest," he thought. And he sat down very slowly under the tree, and he leaned his back a little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up to feel that they were straight. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, the blue caps, and the red caps on the very top. They were all there. So he went to sleep. And he slept for a very long time. And when he woke up, oh, he was rested and refreshed. But before he stood up, he felt with his hand to make sure that his caps were on straight in the right place. But all he felt was his own checkered cap. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked behind him. No caps. And then he looked up into the tree. Oh my goodness, what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey there was a gray, brown, blue, or red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys, and the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do, so finally he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking his fingers at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers, and they said, This made the peddler angry, so he took both hands and he shook them at him. "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fists back at him and said, Oh, now he felt quite angry, and he stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet and said, Oh, by now the peddler was really very, very angry, and he stamped both of his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both of their feet back at him and said, Oh man, he's getting, the word is frustrated. When you try to do something and you can't do it, you might get frustrated. At last, he became so angry that he took off his own cap and he threw it down on the ground and he walked away. But then Each of the monkeys in the tree took off their cap. And you're right, if you're thinking this, all the gray, brown, blue, and red caps came flying down. They threw them down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and he put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, and then the gray caps and the brown and the blue and the red caps on the very, very top. And slowly, slowly he walked back into town calling, "Caps for sale, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." Yeah, so those monkeys, they kind of were repeating what he did. Maybe you have a brother or sister at home, or maybe your mom or dad would play this. You be the peddler and they could be the monkey. So when you say, "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps," they could be the monkey and go, "Ee, ee, 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 ee." Or maybe you could play another game, just sort of like follow what I do. And you could put your hands on your head and they could put their hands on their head. And you could put your hands on your ears and they could do whatever you're doing. It's called monkey see, monkey do. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this very old fairy tale, Caps for Sale.